Signal, but no voice contact yet. We're standing by.
At 10:36 this morning, Apollo 8 went around the far side of the moon at just over 7,000 miles an hour into complete radio blackout that was to last 47 minutes. In that radio blackout, they were to ignite their main rocket engine and fire it backwards if they were to slow down and go into moon orbit. And then, at 11:23, after 47 minutes of nail-biting silence, we heard this.
Apollo Control, Houston, we've acquired signal, but no voice contact yet. We're standing by. Apollo Control, Houston, we're looking at engine data, and it looks good. Tank pressures look good. We have not talked yet with the crew, but we're standing by. We've got it. We've got it. Apollo 8 now in lunar orbit. There's a cheer in this room. This is Apollo Control, Houston, switching now to the voice of Jim Lovell.
By 60.5. Good to hear your voice.
And so, there they are, successfully in orbit. And at this particular moment in time, they're beginning the second of their elliptical orbits before they fire again to go into the last 8 circular orbits. They're just 69 miles above the surface of the moon at this point on the dark side. They've been in blackout, radio blackout, on the other side of the moon now since 9 minutes to 1. And when they come out, later on in this program, they'll be sending, we hope, live television transmissions from 69 miles above the surface of the moon. And with me in the studio, Patrick Moore.
Hello.
And hello, Patrick. And we hope to get on to... there's Sir Bernard Lovell at Jodrell Bank. And these gentlemen will be commenting and watching with us as those pictures come down. Gentlemen, I'd just like you to listen, if you would, to this tape of the first ever recorded description by a human voice of the moon's surface as Jim Lovell passed over it for the first time 69 miles up.
Apollo 8, Houston, what does the old moon look like from 60 miles, over?
Okay, Houston, the moon is essentially gray, no color. Looks like plaster of Paris, or sort of a grayish beach sand. We can see quite a bit of detail. The Sea of Fertility doesn't stand out as well here as it does back on Earth. There's not as much contrast between that and the surrounding craters. The craters are all rounded off. There's quite a few of them. Some of them are newer. Many of them look like, especially the round ones, look like hit by meteorites or projectiles of some sort. Langrenus is quite a huge crater. It's got a central cone to it. And the walls of the crater are terraced. About 6 or 7 different terraces on the way down.
Roger, understand.
And coming up now, the Sea of Fertility are the old friends Messier and Pickering that I liked about so much on Earth.
Roger.
And I can see the rays coming out of Blaze Pickering. We're coming up now near our B1 initial site, which I'm going to try and see. Be advised, the round window, the hatch window, is completely iced over. We cannot use it. Bill and I are showing a rendezvous window.
Apollo 8, Houston, Roger. Got any more information on those rays, over?
Roger. The rays out of Pickering are quite faint from here. There are 2 different groups going to the west. They don't appear to be have any depth to them at all, just rays coming out.
Roger.
They look like just changes in the color of the Mare. Yeah. Okay, over to my right are the Pyrenees Mountains coming up. And we're just about over Messier and Pickering right now.
Well, Sir Bernard, can you hear me at Jodrell Bank, Sir Bernard?
Yes, good morning.
Good morning, Sir Bernard. Did you manage to pick up Apollo as it came round for the first time this morning?
No, when the moon came above our horizon this morning, the Apollo was on the hidden side of the moon, and we're hoping to get it when it reappears in a few moments' time.
You'll be lucky.
I did hear that description live, though, on the CBS line here, and I must confess, I thought it was really quite extraordinary. It was one of the most remarkable few minutes that I've ever lived through. The realization that there was a human being there, only 60 or 70 miles above the lunar surface, giving that really quite wonderful description of what he was seeing.
Yes. Patrick Moore in the studio, what did that description tell you, if anything, new about the moon and their position above it and which way up they were and so on?
Well, we know where they are from the flight plan. You heard them say they were coming over Messier and Pickering at one stage, and these are two small craters on the Sea of Fertility. In fact, they're going right across the visible side of the moon as seen from the Earth, and as far as I can see, they must be looking south. That's down to the bottom of the chart that we've got here.
So they're upside down?
They're upside down, in fact. One thing I think is important to mention, when they go around the other side of the moon, where they are at the present moment, and at this moment, remember, they are completely out of touch. There is no possible means of contacting them until they come back round the edge of the moon again. But the other side of the moon isn't necessarily dark. You see, the dark side of the moon is the side of the moon that's turned away from the sun, and that isn't always the side of the moon that's turned away from the Earth. So day and night conditions on the side we can never see are precisely the same as those on the side we can see.
But that means that now, since he is describing what he's seeing, they must be going over a sector of the moon on this side that is lit also by the sun.
Well, they were when they made that description, and at the present moment, of course, they still are, but they'll be coming around the edge very shortly. Of course, it's a fantastic thing, because they're seeing things that no men have ever seen before from close range. And although we've got pictures from the craft that have gone round the moon and craft that have landed there, this, when all is said and done, isn't the same as seeing it for oneself. And I have no doubt that when they come back, the photographs they actually bring back, and we have processed in our laboratories, will tell us more about the moon than we've known before.
Yes. Sir Bernard, may I ask one thing? When they come round on our side of the moon, are you able to track them across the moon's surface, or does the moon, as it were, distort their signal so much that you can't pick them up when they're between us and the moon?
No trouble at all. The signals will only disappear when there's an actual occultation of the spacecraft by the moon. We're in the same position once the moon is above our horizon as any of the other tracking stations of this network.
And in fact, Sir Bernard, you lock on to the signal that is bringing us their voice, and that's how you track them. Is that
yes.
not so?
We can't, of course, the decoding of the signals, particularly the television signals, is an extremely complicated business, and we're not part of the tracking network. We can decipher the voices, but not the television transmissions. I'm afraid we had to rely on the BBC for that.
Apollo Control, Houston, 71 hours, 32 minutes, now on the flight of Apollo 8. We're within 8 minutes of acquiring the Apollo 8 spacecraft, now on its second revolution around the moon, which the first revolution began at midpoint on the backside. Apollo 8 should be yawing about 45 degrees just about now to establish a proper attitude for TV sighting. We'll continue to monitor as
I think what
we
Sir Bernard
draw
said
it.
there was most interesting. With his radio telescopes, he can in fact pick up Apollo as it goes around the moon, and the visual astronomers can't. And I don't think there's any telescope on Earth that will actually show Apollo 8 at the present moment. So we have to rely upon the radio astronomers for this.
Well, may I ask one question I think probably most people would like to know? If only part of the moon that is on our side is lit by the sun, then the other section, which is in shadow, shadowed presumably by the Earth, is only lit by Earth shine.
Well, in point of fact, you see, the Earth does shine upon the moon, and it shines on the moon much more brightly than the moon shines on the Earth, because the Earth's a bigger body than the moon, so it looks bigger when you're on the moon, and also it's a better reflector. The moon's a very poor reflector indeed. Those rocks are pretty dark. But I don't think that the Earth shine upon the night side of the moon is going to be very significant. You might make out a certain amount of detail there, but it's not going to be very important, I think.
But could the optical telescopes then not pick up the spacecraft lit by the rays of the sun as it crossed that dark side of our part of the moon?
No, I think this is out of the question. Don't forget, Apollo 8 is a pretty small thing, and you're just not going to be able to pick it up from Earth range.
Yes.